This happened a couple of weeks ago. I'm Lisa, 34, a freelance graphic designer. I had just moved into a cozy apartment in this old brick building. I thought it would be a fresh start after my breakup. The first night it really poured, I felt nice and sheltered inside my top floor unit. The rain splattered against the window, and it was comforting. But then, I heard it. There was this faint tapping, like someone was trying to get my attention. I brushed it off, telling myself it was just branches swaying in the wind or raindrops hitting the glass. Yet my heart raced a bit. I guess I hadn't quite settled in yet. The next evening, the storm got worse. Thunder rattled the walls of my apartment. I sat on the couch, working on my laptop. I glanced around and noticed things seemed off. The books on my shelf were slightly out of place. I thought maybe I had rearranged them earlier and just didn't remember. A chill rushed through me, but I shook it off. Later, I caught a glimpse of something in my peripheral vision. Just a shadow, I told myself. I wasn't sure if it was rain creating odd shapes. It made me uneasy. I tried to focus on my work to distract myself. By the third night, the storm howled like a wild animal. The wind whipped around outside, and I felt utterly alone. That's when I heard laughter. It echoed through my apartment. At first, I thought it was my imagination. Maybe I was just tired. But it was real. The sound froze me in place. I got up and walked toward the hallway, my heart pounding. There was nobody there. Just silence, except for the gusts howling outside. I stood in the dark, feeling a mix of fear and confusion. Surely, it must have been a neighbor. But deep down, I felt something more sinister. I ran back to the couch, trying to distract myself by scrolling through my phone. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My fingers trembled as I held my phone. Something was wrong, my instincts screamed at me. I glanced once more at the hallway. The soft tapping returned. It was more persistent this time. I swear I could feel eyes on me, pressing against my back like a cold breath. My skin crawled. I wanted to call someone, anyone. But who would believe me? I felt like I was losing grip on reality. Then I heard that laughter again, clearer this time. It didn't come from anywhere specific. I thought I saw a shadow move again in the corner of my vision. My heart was racing. I turned slowly, and well, I don't know what I expected to find. The space was empty, just me and the dark. As I stood there, ill at ease, a thought crossed my mind: what if I wasn't alone after all? I couldn't shake the feeling. Was it my mind playing tricks on me? Or was something truly lurking in the shadows? I didn't know, but I felt trapped in my own home. I barely slept that night. Every creak of the building felt amplified in the silence. Shadows danced on the walls, and I convinced myself not to look too closely. Morning couldn't come soon enough. The next day, I decided to visit my neighbor, hoping to find answers. Her name was Helen. She was older, friendly, and I thought she might shed some light on what was going on. When I knocked, I was surprised by the warmth of her smile. "Hi, Lisa. Come in," she said, ushering me into her cozy apartment. It felt like stepping into a different world. Everything was bright and filled with plants. I took a deep breath, feeling slightly at ease. "What do you think of the building?" Helen asked, pouring me a cup of tea. "It's nice, but I've had some odd experiences," I admitted. "Like, the other night, I heard laughter and felt. I don't know, watched." Her expression shifted, as if she were considering my words carefully. "This building has a history," she finally said, her voice low. "There are stories about strange happenings, especially during storms." My heart raced. "What kind of stories?" "People have mentioned hearing things, voices, music. Some say it's just the wind, but others think it's something more." Helen's eyes darkened with a hint of worry. I'd be careful if I were you. I felt a chill run down my spine. I thanked her for the tea, suddenly wanting to escape the conversation. As I left her apartment, I couldn't shake a feeling of dread. Back in my own space, my mind raced with what Helen said. Were those childhood tales truly just that? Or was there something lingering in the past, haunting the present? That night, I tried to work, hoping to drown out my worry. I focused on a client project, but the tapping noise returned. I felt the familiar unease creeping back in. Frustrated and anxious, I stood up and decided to check the windows. As I moved closer, the room became eerily quiet. I scanned the space, and that's when I saw a flicker of light behind the curtains. It looked like a tiny glow. My heart skipped. With a shaky breath, I pulled the curtain aside. Nothing. Just the rainy night outside. But then, a shadow drifted past the corner of my eye again. This time, it felt different. More solid. I felt my muscles tense as I twisted around, and there, half hidden in the shadows, I saw a figure standing in the hallway. My breath caught in my throat as I blinked. The figure darted away, disappearing into the darkness of the hall. I ran toward the space, desperate to confront whatever it was. But the hallway was empty. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" No answer. Just the sound of my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. I rushed back to my apartment, slamming the door behind me. My mind swirled with fear and confusion. What was happening? Then, an unmistakable chill swept through the room. I turned, and the laughter returned, clear and taunting. I felt it again, the cold presence, wrapping around me like fingers of ice. Panic surged. I didn't want to be here anymore. I reached for my phone, to call for help, but suddenly it went dark. A surge of dread filled me. Why now? I switched on the flashlight, my hands shaking as I illuminated the room, only to find something reflecting back at me. That's when I saw a small figure hiding at the edge of my vision. It lingered just out of reach, and all I could think was, who or what was standing there? I froze, flashlight beam shaking as I tried to make sense of the figure. It seemed to shift, like a mirage on a hot day, but just as I was about to move closer, the air turned icy again. The laughter faded, replaced by a soft whisper I couldn't quite understand. Its sound wrapped around me, tempting me to lean in. "Who's there?" I asked, hoping for some sort of answer. My own voice sounded alien in the stillness. The figure remained elusive, darting into the dark corners of my apartment, just out of sight. I stepped forward, heart pounding. As I did, the lights flickered to life, flickering warm and bright for a brief moment before plunging the room into shadows once again. I gasped and backtracked. This wasn't just a trick of my imagination, something was happening here. Then a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. I bolted toward the sound, my mind racing with possibilities. Was it just a book falling off the shelf? Was I about to find some creature lurking in my pantry? Whatever it was, I needed to face it. Turning on the flashlight again, I found the kitchen door swinging slightly as if someone had just been there. I stepped inside cautiously. The sight I found made my stomach drop. My coffee mug lay shattered on the floor, pieces scattered like stars across the tile. I remembered placing it securely on the counter before I started my work. I knelt down slowly, picking up a shard. Was it the wind? The storm had picked up outside, battering against the windows. But this didn't feel like just nature's doing. I heard the whisper again, louder this time, clearer. "Help me." My pulse quickened. Was someone trapped in my apartment? I stood up, scanning the room. "Is someone there?" I shouted, trying to sound brave. The air felt heavy around me. I took a step back, ready to run if needed. That's when I noticed something shifting near the back door. A shadow, still faint against the darkness. I aimed my flashlight towards it. But nothing was there. The low sound of laughter returned, but now it felt closer, as if echoing from within. I had to stop this. I couldn't let whatever was haunting me take over my mind. I turned to call out again, but instead, I found myself hesitating. Should I investigate further? Or should I just leave? As if sensing my indecision, the whisper grew frantic. Please don't leave me. My breath hitched. What did that mean? Who was this voice asking for help? I felt like I was being pulled in every direction at once. Just as I prepared to turn and flee, the garage door creaked open behind me. I spun around, eyes wide, flashlight beam illuminating the threshold. The door stood ajar, and for the first time that night, I felt an icy tendril of fear curling around me, not from the darkness, but from an overwhelming sense of danger looming ahead. Someone or something was inviting me into the dark. I took one step backward, heart racing, poised to escape whatever had been unleashed in the safety of my home. But there was a greater force at play now than mere shadows. Help me, the voice called out again, filling the silence with dread. I backed up further, breathing hard. The way the dark door swayed sent a thrill of panic through me. I knew I had to make a choice. Intrepid or terrified, either way, I felt the answer wouldn't wait much longer. I held my breath, my mind racing as I weighed my options. Just then, the whisper echoed through the air again, more desperate this time. Help me. The sound twisted inside me, tearing through the fear and urging me to move closer to the open door. Why should I? I shouted into the dark. Instantly, I felt foolish, challenging something I didn't understand. But retreating felt impossible, like a tether pulling me forward into the unknown. Without thinking, I took a step toward the garage door. The shadows seemed to thicken around me, creeping closer, almost reaching out with unseen hands. I fumbled with the flashlight, my grip sweaty. Part of me wanted to run, but another part was desperate for answers. As I crossed the threshold, I squinted into the darkness. The garage was cluttered. Old boxes, tools, and half-empty paint cans lined the walls. The air smelled damp and musty. My heart raced louder, drowning out the soft rain tapping against the metal roof. Please, the voice pleaded again, drifting from somewhere deep within the space. There was a different tone now, more urgent. I moved forward, guided by that haunting sound. I swept the flashlight beam across the wall, illuminating the mass of junk and wrappers but revealing nothing else. I reached the far end of the garage, where I noticed something on the floor semi-obscured by a tarp. My pulse quickened. Was it a person? Or something worse? I hesitated, glancing back toward the inviting safety of my home. But the voice kept beckoning me, pulling me closer. Come closer, I need your help, it called again, softer now, almost soothing. I swallowed hard, pulling back the edge of the tarp. My breath stilled as the beam from my flashlight landed on an old, rusted bicycle lying on the ground. It looked like it hadn't been moved in years. Just as confusion settled in, I spotted something else, a small, dust-covered wooden box nestled against the wall. Curiosity overwhelmed my fear. I stepped closer, kneeling beside the box. My hands trembled as I brushed off dust, revealing a small lock. It looked simple, flimsy even, but something told me this box was important. Then, without warning, the overhead light flickered on, bathing the room in a harsh glare. I flinched, disoriented by the sudden brightness. The voice morphed into whimpers, cutting through the air like glass shattering. Open it. Please. You must open it. I jerked back instinctively, a wave of dread washing over me. The laughter returned, but this time it was cruel, almost mocking. I was no longer just facing a dark entity, I was facing the very essence of fear itself, and it was playing with me. I turned to run, but my feet felt glued to the ground. That's when I noticed a figure standing at the back of the garage, just at the edge of the light. It was a silhouette, unmoving, watching. I blinked hard, shock coursing through me. Who are you? I rasped, a tremor in my voice. The figure leaned forward slightly, and I caught a glimpse of a face twisted, sad, and impossibly familiar. My heart raced, realization crashing into me like a wave. That face belonged to someone I recognized, someone I thought I'd never see again. And just like that, the weight of what was happening crushed in on me. Then everything went dark. I jolted awake, gasping for air. The darkness enveloped me, the garage silent but for the steady drip of water from somewhere above. I blinked several times, trying to make sense of where I was. The flashlight lay on the floor, flickering weakly, casting erratic shadows across the clutter. Panic gnawed at my gut. Had it all been a dream? As my heart slowed, I realized that the oppressive silence felt wrong. I scrambled to my feet, my eyes wide as I searched for any sign of the figure I had seen. Nothing. Just the remnants of my earlier fear, still hanging in the air like a heavy mist. Then, I heard it again, a soft whimper. It wasn't in my head, it was coming from the wooden box. My pulse quickened as I brushed aside the tarp that partially covered it, my mind racing with questions. What was inside? Why did it want me to open it? Steeling myself, I picked up the flashlight, its beam steady now. I focused on the lock, inspecting it closely. There was something about it that triggered a memory, a distant thought I couldn't quite grasp. I needed to get it open, but the thought terrified me. What if it held something malevolent? The whimper came again, more frantic this time. Please, the urgency in that voice urged me forward, as if there was no choice left but to confront this mystery. I turned the box over, searching for a way to pry it open. Then I noticed a small notch that might serve as a release. I took a deep breath, fingers trembling as I pressed down. The lock clicked, and I felt a rush of cold air billow out as the lid popped open slightly. My stomach twisted. Inside lay an assortment of faded photographs scattered atop old letters, scribbled notes that had yellowed with age. I picked up a photo. My heart sank as I recognized the faces, people I knew, some from my past, others I had lost contact with. But one figure stood out, clear as day, the twisted face from earlier. What is this? I muttered, scanning the letters. They were fragments of memories, filled with names and dates, whispers of lives lived and lost. I was drowning in the echoes of the past. But soon, another realization crashed over me. These weren't just remnants, they were messages, cries for help. Suddenly, the air turned thick with energy, and the light bulb above flickered violently. The whispers escalated to desperate cries, and I stumbled back as shadows danced menacingly around me. The weight of sorrow and despair filled the garage, each echo amplifying my fear, turning it into something palpable. I rushed to close the box but felt a firm hand grip my wrist, icy and unyielding. My heart stopped. Don't go, the familiar voice whispered, a blend of sadness and urgency. I wanted to pull away, to scream, but I found myself frozen. Then the garage door creaked ominously, and I realized we weren't alone. Someone was outside. My instinct screamed for me to escape, yet my feet remained rooted to the ground, ensnared by the voice that felt like both a plea and a warning. Before I could process it, the figure emerged from the shadows, making my decision for me. My breath hitched in my throat as I faced not just the darkness but the chilling presence of a past I couldn't ignore. And just like that, I felt the walls close in around me. I felt the shadows shift, and my heart raced as the figure stepped into the faint light. It was a woman, her features obscured by darkness. My mind grappled with recognition. Who was she? Why did it feel like I knew her? Please, you must listen, she said, her voice trembling as if on the verge of breaking. You have to get out of here. I wanted to ask why, but all I could do was stare at her, caught between the suffocating fear and a desperate curiosity. I could see that the woman was not solid, like an echo caught between worlds. The whispers became a chaotic chorus, urging me to stay or flee. My body felt heavy, paralyzed by a swell of confusion. What do you want from me? I managed to choke out, feeling absurd for talking to a ghost or whatever this was. The box, it's not just memories. It holds warnings. You shouldn't have opened it, she said, her image flickering. What kind of warnings? I asked, panic threading my voice. The shadows around me shifted, becoming darker, more unsettling. I could feel the energy press in against me, like an impending storm. They are coming, she answered, her eyes wide with fear. You must leave before it's too late. Just then, the door creaked again, and I felt a chill run down my spine as the air grew dense with the scent of damp soil and decay. Who's coming? I whispered, dread pooling in my stomach. The moment felt heavy, like time had stopped. Do you remember, she pleaded, her voice echoing with a resonance that felt unsettlingly familiar. You have to remember. The memories crashed against me, fragments illuminating the edges of my mind. Suddenly, the faces in the photographs swam into focus, friends and family caught in moments long gone, some smiling, others eyes full of sorrow. But among them was a flicker of an earlier time, a scene from a party I attended in high school, laughter spinning in the air. Then, I saw her, a girl standing in the background, eyes wide with fear, mouth moving silently amid a crowd. It was her. Before I could process that revelation, the footsteps outside grew louder, closer. Someone was approaching the garage, their breathing heavy and deliberate. My heart raced as I backed away from the figure, panic tightening within me. Please! She shouted, but I stumbled, nearly losing my grip on the box that lay open on the ground. Then everything went dark. The flashlight flickered out, plunging me into the abyss with only the sound of footsteps and the cries of the woman ringing in my ears. There was no escape now. Suddenly, I felt cold hands clutch my shoulders from behind. You're in danger, a low voice said, startling me out of my spiraling thoughts. I turned, and before I could see who it was, the garage door blew open with a violent rush, and the chilling wind swirled around me. Then I realized I wasn't alone anymore. I squinted into the sudden brightness from outside. The cold air rushed in, and with it came the smell of rain and something else, something rotten. I blinked, trying to adjust my eyes. The flickering flashlight lay useless beside me, casting weird shadows against the garage walls. My heart was still pounding, but now there was something else gnawing at my instincts, a sense of dread creeping up my spine. Who are you? I called out, my voice tangled between fear and desperation. I turned to see whoever was behind me. My pulse raced as I braced for confrontation. I'm here to help, but you have to trust me, the voice urged. It was female, but there was something distorted about it, like it was grappling with a physical barrier. I could barely make out a figure, its edges blurring in and out of the light. Why should I trust you? I spat back, my head spinning with questions. What do you know about the box? The box is connected to all of this, she said, urgency sparking in her tone. You opened a threshold you shouldn't have. My mind flashed back to the woman in my memories, her scared face hidden among smiling friends. Was she trying to warn me too? Before I could answer, there was a loud thud outside, followed by a quick rustling. I felt a chill. Someone or something was on the other side of the garage, and they were not happy. The woman's figure wavered as the shadows deepened around us. They're here, she said, her voice barely a whisper as fear seeped into every word. You need to decide, follow me or confront what's coming. There's no time. Instantly, a wave of anxiety washed over me. I could see the outlines of movement creeping outside the door, dark forms shifting just beyond the threshold. I couldn't let those shadows in. I don't know what to do. I yelled, my voice breaking. Trust your instincts. She replied, her voice resonating in the air. You're stronger than you think. Just remember you have the power to change this. Then suddenly, the door before me buckled with tremendous force. I felt the ground shudder beneath my feet, and the whole structure of the garage seemed to groan in response. I bolted toward the back of the garage, scanning for an exit while glancing back at her. She looked desperate, reaching out to me, her fading form slipping deeper into the shadows. My heart hammered as I fumbled with the second door, praying it wasn't barred. Just as I managed to swing it open, a chill of air flushed by. Outside, the rain fell in sheets, and the world beyond gleamed in an eerie sheen of silver. I stepped out, ready to run when I heard her voice one last time, painfully clear, "They're not just after you. They want the box." And in that moment, a cold realization hit me. I hadn't just opened a box of memories. I had unlocked something far more dangerous. Then I heard the low growl from within the garage as I sprinted into the storm. I didn't dare look back, but the weight of whatever had just escaped filled my chest with terror. I was being hunted, and I had no idea what awaited me in this relentless rain. I ran through the rain, the icy droplets plastering my hair to my forehead. My shoes squelched against the soaked ground as I dashed into the darkness beyond the garage. The howling wind whipped at my face, but I pressed on, feeling the shadows stretch behind me as if urging me to turn back. I fought the urge to look over my shoulder. Whatever was in that garage was now chasing me, and I had to stay ahead of it. The road was slick, my feet slipping as I moved farther from that place. But my mind was a whirlpool of thoughts. The woman's warning echoed in my head. The box. It was more than just a trinket to me, it was a beacon now, a target for whatever was pursuing me. I came to a sudden stop, my breath visible in the frigid air. Up ahead, I saw a flickering light. A street lamp, swaying painfully in the storm. I could barely make out the outlines of abandoned houses, their windows broken, and doors hanging off their hinges. The calm nightmare of my neighborhood had transformed overnight into a haven for ghosts. As I started moving toward the light, I stumbled over something, a piece of debris, maybe a fallen branch. I caught myself and regained my balance, heart pounding. But just then, a figure darted past the lamplight, barely visible. I froze, crouching down behind a rusted car parked at the curb. I held my breath, my heart hammering in my chest. Had they found me already? I couldn't see clearly, but the movement felt intentional. Then I heard a soft voice, whispers blending with the pattering rain. "You shouldn't be alone," it said, barely audible over the storm. I squeezed my eyes shut, hoping I was imagining things. But the sound lingered, and with it came a sinking feeling that I wasn't the only one out here. Was the woman from the garage looking for me? Or worse, was something else hunting me too? Then, another figure stepped into the hazy light. This one was closer, and I could make out a face, twisted in a way that made my stomach turn. It wasn't human, yet not entirely monstrous. The eyes were hollow, and its mouth curved into a grin that didn't belong in this world. I turned, ready to bolt in the opposite direction when I slipped on the wet pavement. I fell hard, the rain drenching me further. My heart raced as I scrambled to my feet, desperate to escape. Just as I caught my breath, I felt a hand grip my ankle, a freezing touch that made me scream. In a panic, I kicked out, feeling the grip loosen. But as I turned to run, a blinding light erupted from my pocket. I had forgotten all about the small box I had taken from the garage. It pulsed with energy, illuminating the dark, and the weight of it felt both comforting and terrifying. The twisted figure recoiled, letting out a shriek as shadows surged and swirled around it. It was drawn to the box. I could see that now. In that moment, I knew I couldn't run or hide. I had to confront the shadows waiting for me and whatever that box had unleashed. As I held the box tightly, I felt a new resolve. I would find out what was going on, what I had awakened. But first, I had to survive this unholy storm. My heart surged as I prepared to face whatever came next, ready to fight back against the darkness surrounding me. Then everything went dark. I blinked hard, trying to shake off the darkness. It didn't last long. Suddenly, everything came flooding back, the boxes of shadows, the twisted figure, that chilling grip. I was still standing, clutching the pulsing box, my breathing labored. The rain continued to pour, drowning out all other sounds. As I tried to gather my thoughts, the flickering street lamp flickered again, illuminating the scene in sporadic bursts. I looked around, half expecting to see the monstrous figure again. But the street was empty, save for the fallen debris and shadows that seemed to whisper my name. I felt a strange sensation at the back of my mind, as if the box was guiding me. I glanced down at it, and for the briefest moment, I could have sworn I saw figures swirling inside the translucent surface. I held it closer, entranced, trying to make sense of what it meant. My instincts kicked in, and I turned to head toward the nearest house. The door hung ajar, creaking as the wind blew through. I hesitated, but something deep inside pushed me forward. I stepped inside, water pooling at my feet as I crossed the threshold. The air was stale. Dust danced in the dim light, and the floor creaked with each cautious step. Shadows spiraled across the walls, but I focused on the box. It felt more alive than ever, pulsing gently against my palms. If I could just understand what it wanted, maybe I could figure out how to escape this nightmare. Then, I heard a low humming noise emanating from somewhere deeper inside the house. Like a siren song, it beckoned me forward. I swallowed hard, my heart thumping like a drum. As I approached the source, the humming grew louder. I couldn't resist it. I followed the sound, each step taken with reluctance. The hallway opened into a dimly lit room. Supplies were scattered across the floor, old furniture, broken remnants of a previous occupant's life. And against the far wall stood a mirror, its surface cracked and grimy. But it wasn't the mirror that drew my gaze, it was the strange light flickering behind it. I stepped closer. The humming reached a fever pitch. Something stark and unsettling flickered in the mirror's reflection. The box reacted, almost vibrating in my hands. I raised it, causing both the box and the mirror to glow in response. In that instant, I heard more voices, whispers overlapping, urgent. "Don't open it," one voice warned, trembling with fear. "You mustn't," another echoed, more urgent than the first. I was frozen. What were they trying to protect me from? I felt the pulsating energy in the box, urging me to act. My fears collided with an overwhelming curiosity. What was I being drawn into? Then, as if the universe was answering my doubts, the mirror shattered, sending a rain of shards crashing to the ground. The humming abruptly stopped. I staggered back, nearly dropping the box. The entire room went quiet except for my own ragged breathing. That's when I saw a shape emerging from the broken mirror, clouded yet familiar. The horror of it coursed through me, rooting me in place. It wasn't a twisted monster but something far worse, a reflection of what I feared most. I needed to find out what was happening. Was it just a part of my imagination, or was there truly something lurking in the shadows? My pulse quickened. I didn't think I could handle more revelations, but I had no choice. The journey into this darkness had only just begun. I staggered back, the box gripped tightly in my hands, heart pounding as the shape in the shattered mirror took form. The room felt heavier, the air thickening as it twisted and writhed in the echo of my fears. It was a reflection of myself, but distorted, an image that wore my face yet seemed to mock everything I was. The laughter returned, echoing ominously around me, mixing with the haunting whispers that now filled the room. "Do you see it?" My reflection crooned, its voice dripping with a blend of joy and malice. "The darkness you carry. The doubts, the regrets. That's what they feed on." I felt a chill run down my spine, confronting all the insecurities I thought I had buried. I wanted to scream, to deny it, but the box pulsed in my hands, almost as if it was awakening memories I had long tried to escape. "No, that's not me," I shouted, forcing myself to take a step forward. My reflection ignited, flickering with anger. "You're just a shadow." "Am I?" It hissed, the room vibrating with its venomous tone. "You called me here, Lisa. You opened the door. The shadows in the corners of the room began to shift, extending towards me like greedy fingers reaching for salvation. I felt panic surge within me. I didn't mean to, I just wanted to find the truth. Truth? The reflection laughed, the sound scraping against my ears like nails on a chalkboard. You can't handle the truth. But they can. A sudden rush swept through the room as if the very foundation was quaking. I'd awakened something that was now out for vengeance. Shadows raced across the walls and I could hear their whispers growing louder, becoming a chaotic frenzy. The frantic energy became palpable, tingling against my skin. The reflection surged forward, trying to break free of its glass prison, fingers outstretched, almost grasping for me. I felt the box vibrate once more as I turned it toward my reflection, its pulse syncing with my heart. You can't have me. I cried, willing the box to reveal what kept me safe. In that instant, a blinding light burst from the box, spilling across the room like a river of hope. It wrapped around me, washing over the shadows, illuminating the dark. For a moment, I felt clarity. Leave me be, I whispered, summoning every ounce of strength. The laughter faded, replaced by anguished cries as the shadows recoiled, retreating into darkness. The reflection in the mirror let out a monstrous roar, its features contorted in rage as the light pushed it back, forcing it into the shards left scattered on the ground. As the light grew stronger, I could feel the weight of the darkness lift, my mind rushing back to my own thoughts, my own fears. The faces in the photographs I had seen earlier flashed through my mind, but now they weren't lost, they were a part of me, a tapestry of memories that had shaped who I was. Remember who you are. A voice cut through the chaos, resonating with power. I held the box tighter, focusing on the energy surging through me, making the shadows retreat. I felt lighter, more grounded, connected to something within me. The reflection of my fears swirled, trapped within the shards, its voice a distant echo lost in the storm. But even with the shadows receding, a new sense of urgency filled my heart. What do I do now? I whispered to the box, which pulsed with warmth in my hands. It felt like an anchor amidst the chaos. What am I meant to protect? Just then, I heard the heavy footfalls outside the broken door, the same ominous presence that had pursued me before. It had found me again. The whispers returned, more frantic, yet there was an undercurrent of something else, a warning. Lisa, the hushed voice began, drifting around me like a gentle wind. You can't stay here. They are drawn to your light. I stumbled back, glancing toward the door as it began to shake violently. I felt the energy in the box quicken, pressing onward. I needed to make a choice. With courage swelling inside, I took a step toward the door, determination flooding through me. I had faced the shadows within, but now it was time to confront whatever was waiting outside. I can't just run, I muttered to myself. I have to end this. The light from the box pulsed brighter, illuminating my path. I swung the door open, stepping into the tempest beyond. The rain lashed at me, both cleansing and punishing as I squinted into the storm. Figures shifted in the shadows of the street, grotesque and twisted, reaching for me. But this time, I wasn't afraid. I'm not yours to take. I shouted, the strength of my voice roaring against the thunder. The box flared once more, a beacon of defiance against all that chased me. The figures stopped, hesitating momentarily. I drew the energy towards me, channeling the moments I found within myself, the laughter, the pain, the love. I took a step forward. You want a battle? Then let us face it together. With each word, the grip of the box tightened, the light radiating from me and forcing the darkness to shrink back. There was still a long road ahead and lingering shadows to face, but now, in this moment, I felt something shift. The balance was finally in my hands. The storm raged on, but I was no longer afraid. I could see the path ahead, lit by the flickering glow of the box that was now my guide, as I embraced the uncertain fight waiting just beyond the next threshold. Whatever happened next, I would face it head-on because I wasn't alone any longer.